Shas ministers are leaving Benjamin Netanyahu's government, though the party stays in the ruling coalition. This sudden move has pushed the Israeli governing coalition to the brink of a total collapse. To understand why this matters today, May 13, 2006, we must examine the specific fractures within Israel's current political system. This ongoing conflict centers on new laws attempting to grant exemptions for Haredi Jews, a move that threatens the stability of the current government. This ongoing policy debate defines the future of Israel's national identity and the fundamental core duties of its military forces. The tension between secular and religious groups has long fueled volatility within the Israeli political system. Trying to balance Haredi community needs with military draft requirements causes the current political structure to fracture under the pressure of these conflicting demands. Intensifying disputes over legislation exempting ultra-Orthodox Jews have left the governing coalition at risk of collapse. People are arguing about whether the cost of national defense should be split evenly between the government and private citizens. If the government fails to pass a law satisfying both ultra-Orthodox and secularist factions, the current coalition will collapse, potentially triggering a sudden political crisis. Gideon Sa'ar's recent moves add tension to the current political situation, given his decades-long volatile relationship with Netanyahu. Characterized by frequent shifts between political alliance and bitter rivalry, Sa'ar's career proves political alliances shift as he left Likud to build his own separate political party. Watching these key political players closely determines if the current government collapses entirely, or if a new, even more unstable coalition takes power. Shas is openly criticizing the current administration and showing zero confidence in its ability to govern effectively. Shocking the Knesset, the party claimed Netanyahu's government will collapse soon, calling the downfall only a matter of time. This declaration shows Shas ministers are no longer trying to keep the current cabinet in power. Gideon Sa'ar's political career includes serving as education minister and interior minister under Netanyahu. Sa'ar was the education minister from 2009 to 2013 and held the interior ministry post from 2013 to 2014. His recent political activity shows just how unstable the current Likud-led coalitions actually are right now, revealing deep internal fractures. Sa'ar later founded the New Hope Party, a move that reshaped how the right-wing opposition functions in Israeli politics. But lately he has clearly moved away from Netanyahu's most controversial political decisions. He resigned from his ministerial post then, which significantly weakened the coalition's overall power and influence across the region. The coalition is failing, so the opposition is preparing for a transition of power right now. Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid is actively building this potential new government, working to assemble a coalition. Negotiators want a new government to stop the current instability and fix the country's economy. This proposed transition relies on a rotation arrangement that includes Naftali Bennett. Under the specific terms of this proposed deal, Naftali Bennett would take over as prime minister before Lapid, according to various reports. But forming this new government remains difficult because of several major parliamentary hurdles ahead. To be officially sworn in, any new government needs to win a confidence vote in the 120-seat Knesset. Without an opposition majority, the country will likely see another cycle of frequent elections, much like we saw recently. As politicians negotiate inside the Knesset, Israeli streets remain caught in a cycle of constant, unpredictable unrest, characterized by frequent and intense public demonstrations. This widespread unrest started with the first protests against judicial reforms, sparking significant national tension. 9 consecutive weekend protests grew much larger following the Gaza war, as massive crowds gathered to demonstrate. Conflict spiked when Netanyahu tried to fire several high-ranking officials from their current positions. Police then launched a massive crackdown on people demonstrating against the government's recent actions. Police arrested protesters at Tel Aviv's Habima Square for insulting a public official during a massive rally. In Jerusalem, violence escalated near the prime minister's residence during the recent protests. Israeli police used water cannons on protesters gathered near Netanyahu's house. These clashes show how much the government and many citizens actually disagree on the current state of affairs. These Jedeged is also Avigdor Lieberman is a veteran politician whose unpredictable moves still impact Israeli politics today. Avigdor, Yisrael Beitanu leader Lieberman, has frequently backed and attacked Netanyahu throughout his career, oscillating between strategic political alliances and intense public opposition. He also helped Netanyahu win several earlier elections during his political career. Changing his political alliances might stabilize a new government or break the current one apart. Shas ministers resigned, exposing how the current coalition structure is fundamentally broken and unable to hold its members together. If Shas decides to pull support from the coalition, Netanyahu loses his majority. Entire important to equality in centers, making his government's survival mathematically impossible and ensuring an immediate collapse of the current leadership. The current administration is a lame duck, stuck in a deadlock that prevents any meaningful new laws from passing. However, the main danger is having no actual laws governing the military draft. If the Haredi exemption remains, IDF recruitment numbers and the social contract will face severe, lasting pressure. If people see service requirements as unfair, we face a new, direct threat to our national security, potentially destabilizing the very foundations of our country. Lapid and Bennett's new opposition indicates a move towards centrist governance, though this coalition remains unstable and prone to collapse. A Bennett and Lapid rotation agreement would test if Israel's political stability can actually hold. Still, recent Jerusalem police crackdowns and the judicial reform protests remain heavy, unavoidable parts of this situation. The next administration faces a public that no longer trusts the state's executive authority. If the new administration fails to fix judicial corruption and legal abuses, these protests will likely grow even more violent. Netanyahu's governing coalition faces a deepening crisis that could lead to its collapse. As Hezbollah and regional tensions remain high, Israel cannot afford a leadership vacuum. The risks are simply too great. Israel's Knesset faces a choice: pass a stable government or trigger another cycle of frequent, unpredictable elections that stall the entire country. Israel's situation is changing fast. Upcoming parliamentary votes over the next few days will decide the country's direction. Subscribe to the channel to track these breaking updates and watch our upcoming deep dive analyses as they go live. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay informed about every new shift in global geopolitics as it happens. Will a Bennett-Lapid rotation government actually hold? I want to hear your take on this arrangement in the comments below.